There's been a ton of talk here recently about a recession. Politicians and talking heads have even argued about the technical definition of a recession, and barrels of ink have been spilled on the topic. Here are just a few. CNBC has an article titled "Why Everyone Thinks a Recession is Coming." I guess they speak for everyone. Forbes is more certain when they say that the recession will begin late 2023 or early 2024. They're committing with certainty to that one. Time hedges their bets a little bit and says that a recession is widely expected. Here's how to prepare. That's probably the best title so far. I like that. CNN goes straight to the shopping cart and tells us not to be fooled that a recession really is coming. Okay, so the consensus from most media outlets is that a recession is here or is on the horizon. If I put all mockery aside, we've been in limbo as a country for the past few years, where everyone is talking about whether we're in a recession or not. And I don't dismiss that question as completely irrelevant. But that's not what this channel is about. Whether we're in a recession or not is a macro question. It's a big picture question relating to 330 plus million people from all 50 states, making up our $23 trillion GDP. To me, you and your individual situation are what matters. You and I cannot control the US economy any more than we can control the weather. So I'm not sure how much good it does for us to dwell on it. Instead of us stressing whether it's happening or not, here's what we can do to ensure our house is in order. First is that we should not allow ourselves to be deceived. We need to accept that bad things happen to people in good economies and bad, and we need to always be prepared. When the market is on a tear, unemployment is low, and inflation is under control, people still have medical emergencies and job losses. Cars break down, and the pipes can burst at any time. How happy are you when CNBC is celebrating a bull market, but your AC has gone out and it's the middle of summer? I don't think we should allow the media to influence our approach to money or investing. They're interested in selling ads, and they will do or say what they can to attract eyeballs. No matter what, they're not going to put a single cent in your bank account. Act accordingly and make sure you have some cushion for a rainy day. A job loss is the definition of a rainy day, and that's a perfect time to dip into that emergency fund to buy you some time to transition into another job or to start a business. I have another video that talks about saving and emergency funds in greater detail. Second is that we should only invest our time and energy in being productive. A long time ago I read a book, but I can't remember the author or the title. If you recognize this, please put this in the comments. The author talked about how worry doesn't solve anything. It really only drains you, and instead of just expending mental energy and time on being worried about the latest news cycle, construct in your mind the worst case scenario as it pertains to yourself with as much detail as possible. Then accept it. Accept that it might happen, and then figure out what you would or could respond with and how you can prepare for it. Then devote your time and energy towards making sure that the worst case scenario that you've come up in your mind does not happen, and that your only concern is with what you can control. The news media wants you worried, but I don't. I want you prepared, and this mindset has served me well over the years. Third is to consider all possible outcomes of a recession. I'm guessing that not all of the 18,000 people at Amazon, the 11,000 at Meta, and the 10,000 at Microsoft were expecting to be laid off. Some may have suspected it, but try to put yourself in their shoes and think through what it would mean to be on the receiving end of a layoff. Is your company not in great shape financially? Were you the last one hired and as a result the first one likely to get the axe? Are your skills in need of refining, or can you make a lateral transition to a department that you get the sense is more important to your employer? If you're self-employed, can you put some feelers out there for additional work or diversify your sources of income in case any of the accounts dry up? Whatever your situation, I hope the best for you, but I encourage you to prepare for the worst. Real quick guys, you deserve the absolute best content. If you feel I'm delivering quality and you want more of it, hit that like button. I'm always interested in knowing what people like, and this is a great way to get that immediate feedback. Okay, fourth is to look at your monthly expenses. I talk about the connection between frugality and wealth in another video, but consider trimming the fat preemptively. It's much harder to respond to an emergency when your budget is bloated. If you've already eliminated the waste in your life, even when you have a surplus, it's not as big of a deal if that surplus goes away. You've already built into your life some margin, and the loss of that margin won't be as much of a shock to your budget or your behavior. So much of personal finance is your mindset and the resulting behavior. If you're you're leveraged to the hilt, you've financed everything out to 72 months, and we're not exactly sure what our obligations are, we better hope we don't hit a speed bump, let alone a job loss. There's no way for you to know whether you have any margin in your money unless you're doing a monthly budget and actively managing your cash flow. If you're not currently doing this, I would encourage you to start. Fifth is to make sure that you're automating your investments. Dollar cost averaging is so important for investing for the long term. It's an extremely efficient way to maximize your returns. It's not important to try to time the market. Instead, make sure you're spending time in the market. And don't get out. All dollar cost averaging means is that you're investing at a regular interval regardless of what the market is doing. It's efficient and also the path of least resistance. Here's a great graphic to demonstrate this. Notice how the market goes up and down. That dotted line is the average of your investments in the market. Sometimes you'll pay a little more and sometimes you'll pay a little less than the average. No matter what, you're still paying less than you would if you were trying to time the market. Because research has shown that people are terrible at timing the market. In the first half of this graphic, the market is down a little. We're paying a little less than the average of the stock market, which means we're getting a great value for our money. Then in the second half of this graphic, the market spikes a little bit. We end up paying a little more for our investments than is average. We're not getting as great of a deal at this point, but we're getting the added benefit of not letting the emotion of the market influence whether we buy or not. This is an extremely powerful factor that should not be ignored. All right, folks, that's it for today. If you want to watch similar content, click somewhere on the screen. I'll catch you later.